It might feel like it's 200 degrees outside, but the truth is summer is coming to an end. And with that comes back to school season. This is one of my most favorite times of year because I love all things school supplies. And so it gives me a chance to sneak in a couple of extra things for myself. But it also means that it is going to be a much busier time of year. We have back to school appointments with doctors, eye appointments, trying to get those dentist appointments in, meet the teacher, making sure you have all the school supplies that you need, the back to school clothes shopping. And so it really is one of those busy times of year. And I am the type of person that can talk to anyone about anything. So while we're out doing our back to school shopping and going to our appointments, I am constantly striking up conversations with people. And at any time that the fact that I have 5 kids comes up, people's eyes get like super big and they look really worried, like I might ask them to babysit or drive the kids somewhere. The main response that I get is people are like, I don't know how you get it all done. And the truth is that it doesn't matter if you have 1 kid, if you have 5, or if you have none. Life is busy and it's chaotic, and keeping it all straight can be difficult for anyone. A lot of the questions we get asked are, how do you balance your home life with your work life? How do you choose which style of school each child is in? Because we do homeschool, virtual school, and public school in our house. We are also asked, how do you pick which kid gets to do which extracurricular activities and when? And then how do we keep it all organized? So that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. We're going to look at how our home runs and how we keep everything moving forward. Hey y'all, I'm Kelly. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad that you're taking the time to watch this video. So let's just dive right into work-life balance and what that means. Ultimately, it's a myth. You're never going to have complete balance between your home life and your work life and taking care of yourself. So the best way to look at this, instead of looking at it day to day, because if you do the math day to day, it equals out. Like, you can get 8 hours of sleep, you can work for 8 hours, and you can give good quality time to your home for 8 hours. But we all know that that's not possible. When you work outside of the home, even if you work inside of the home, but working outside of the home, you have to allot for commute time, traffic, getting ready in the morning, all of the different variables, dropping your kids off at school, all of those things play a part in making sure that your day is set up and it runs smoothly and you get to where you're going on time. So it seems like it could be something that works, but ultimately it's just impossible to have everything run smoothly and have it equal out in a day. However, shifting our mindset from day to day to a broader mindset, so like the overall big picture, is the best way that you will find a work-life balance. And by doing this, it lets you focus on work when it's time to focus on work. It lets you focus on your home life when it's time to focus on your home life. And then you can focus on yourself when it's time to do that. And when it's time to focus on these things, for the most part, you don't feel guilty for putting the other things on the back burner, because you know there's a time for everything and you are going to give that attention to those things when it's time for that. And so the best thing that I can say as far as being able to execute this is setting boundaries and letting your friends and family, even your employees and employers, know. Letting them know ahead of time. That way you're not catching anyone off guard when you put your phone away for work, or when you say, okay, it's time for me to go to work. I will see you guys this evening, or for me in the morning. And so everyone knows what to expect from you and when to expect that from you. Because ultimately, society wants to make you think that you can do it all, and you cannot do it all. Like, that's complete garbage, and do not fall for that trick. I will say though that When it comes to work and your family should be your priority, because if something were to happen to you today, your job could have your position posted online before your family can have your obituary set up. So there is a time for work. Absolutely, it is a necessary thing that we all have to do. However, just make sure when you're setting your priorities, you are really truly setting your priorities and you are making the boundaries so that you can give the important things the time and effort that they really truly deserve. Okay, and then the next question that we are frequently asked about is, how do we choose between a public school, virtual school, and homeschool? And to me, this is easy. We do what's best for each child. So right now the girls are both in public school still, and it's what they need. So they both want to graduate high school with an associate's degree, which is something that in South Carolina you can do. So they want to graduate with an associate's degree and then go on to have very long college careers. Lois wants to be a veterinarian and Mila wants to be a pediatrician. And by graduating with an associate's degree, that basically puts them 2 years ahead of other people in their class. And by doing that, one, they could finish early, but two, if there's any roadblocks or anything in their way, they still have that flex time to adjust. And if they change their mind, then they're not so far behind in changing a major that it really sets them back in life, or they continue on with college doing something that they ultimately don't want to do. So I think that's a good plan. And yes, you can do that in homeschool and you can do that in virtual school, but I just feel like they are on the path with the schools that they are in because it works for them. Not to mention the fact that Lois is very involved in band. She's doing theater this year. Mila does running club and she was the head programmer for her school 2 years in a row for her robotics team. So this is the method that works for them. And when it stops working, then we will talk about it and we will adjust. Now Eli is in virtual school. So technically, he's still part of the public school system, but he does school at home. He gets on classes at scheduled times and he meets with different teachers and they teach him, they assign homework, they assign tests, and they check in with him. And this works for him. So he has hated school since the first day of pre-K. And for some reason, it just stresses him out and it puts him on edge. And so virtual school works for him. I am not the one teaching him. I do hold him accountable. I am here during the day to make sure that he is doing what he's supposed to do when he's supposed to do it. But ultimately, another teacher is teaching him. And he bounces back and forth about whether or not he wants to do public school or whether or not he wants to be homeschooled or stay virtual school. And the thing that I found that works best with him is that we just check in. At the end of every week, I check in. Hey, how you doing? How's it going? What are you thinking? Where's your head at? And this works because kids are people too. Just because they're children, it doesn't mean they don't have opinions, feelings, and really something that they could teach you, because I can learn a lot from him if I just listen to him. Now, I am his mom and it is my job to make a decision for him, and so that does not mean that he has the final say on everything, but I can take his opinions and his concerns into account. So that is why we do virtual with him. And then Mason is just full on homeschool. I pick his curriculum, I pick his schedule, we pick his start date and his finish date. I decide when his spring break is, and that works for us because he has a processing disorder and he's severely dyslexic. So when he hit high school, I started noticing a change in him as a person. He is very social and he had a lot of friends in high school. Teachers loved him. They would just rave about how he could participate in class and add so much value to the conversation. And those are just wonderful things to hear. But it also came with a greater workload and a faster pace. And so while I'm getting all these positive things from the school, when he comes home and I see him shut down and struggle, and how hard it is for him to study and get his homework done, and I'm seeing his self-esteem take a hit, I just knew as a parent I had to be more concerned about his self-esteem than even the grade aspect of it. And so that's when I decided to homeschool him. It's not something I decided on my own. I talked with him and we came to an agreement that this would be the best thing for him, because at the end of the day, his self-esteem is what he's going to carry with him for the rest of his life. No one is going to ask him when he's 40 what his grades were in high school. Honestly, very few people even ask me if I went to high school, and when they do, it has to do with a job. So this is what is best for him, and this is what we will do until he graduates. He is a junior this year, and if everything goes the way it should, he can graduate by December of next year. So that is just, I'm excited about it. I'm excited for him. And so that's how we pick learning style each kid has, because ultimately, now this is how I feel about it. It's not necessarily how everybody else feels about it, but fair doesn't mean that every kid is getting the same thing. Fair means that I am setting each one of them up to receive the things that they need so that they can be successful. And so we do what's best for them until it's not working for them anymore, and then we reassess, and that's basically how we decide. The same thing for extracurricular activities. Now, I have heard that families with large number of kids will sometimes say, so and so is doing an extracurricular activity now, so you're going to have to wait, and only one or two kids do something at a time. And I don't think that that is really fair, because what if the two things that the kids love overlap? And so someone is missing out so that someone else can shine. So basically, we just let them tell us what they want to do, and then we make it work, or we do our best to make it work. So sometimes that means all of the kids are doing something at the same time, and that means sometimes that only one kid is doing something at a time. We don't make them do any extracurricular activities. We just let them choose. Now, if they do sign up for something and then they find out that they don't like it, they do have to finish the season. We do have that expectation. So, I mean, it's not really rocket science for us. If they want to do it, they can do it. If they don't, then we don't make them do it. Now, we do have some things that are required in our house. So like they have to do chores, they have to attend church with us on Sunday mornings, things like that. But as far as extracurricular activities go, I don't think that it's something that should be mandatory. And then, so here's the big one. How do we keep it all organized? So personally, I love my Google Calendar. It is a wonderful tool that I have. It's free, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows what Google Calendar is at this point. If you've been on YouTube for like 2 seconds, someone has mentioned Google Calendar as far as like time blocking and all of that goes. I don't time block. It doesn't work for my brain, so I don't do that. However, I do utilize Google Calendar because I am able to set up different calendars for each child. I'm able to set up a calendar for work. My husband and I have a calendar. We have a calendar for church. And then that way I put everything in the calendar. Our parents go on vacations, that goes in the calendar. Doctor's appointments, calendars, dates, school stuff, it all goes in there. And then I can pull the week up and look at a glance and see what's coming. I can pull the month up. I even put my finances in, and that's how I keep my bills straight and when they're due. So I use Google Calendar all the time. I also use Google Keep to have a running list of things. I'll throw photos in there, to-do list. I will do grocery list in there. And so I just utilize the free Google options as much as possible. Enough to have everything scheduled out on the calendar. You have to communicate with your spouse and with your support system. So I would like to think that I could get everything done on my own, but I absolutely cannot. I can't even get everything done with me and Tony. We are frequently asking our parents for help. I'm asking my in-laws for help. My oldest son does not even live at home, and I feel like he is my personal Uber driver for my kids. And if I need them taken to a practice or picked up or anything like that, I call on him. And if he's not busy, he will help me out. So we have a community of people that surround us. And I am so thankful for it because it really does take a village. But you cannot assume that people know what you are thinking and what you need. You cannot assume that just because you needed help getting a child to practice on Thursday last week that they know that every single Thursday you're going to need help. But if that is something that you know you're going to need help with at the beginning of the season, set that expectation and say, I am looking for help from someone to drive my child to practice every Thursday. And if you communicate with your family and your friends and they are your true support system, then I guarantee you they will come through for you. And another little trick is to meal plan. Take a day, see what you have in your house. Shop your pantry, shop your freezer, shop your fridge and your cabinets, and see everything that you have in your house. And that way you can make a meal plan for the following week or the following 2 weeks. And then based off of that meal plan, you can figure out what you don't have and what needs to be on your grocery list. Then you can go to Instacart. We personally use the Walmart pickup and you can place your order. And then the next day, so we like to do that on Saturdays. And then on Sundays, we like to pick up our groceries, come home and meal prep for the week. And so everything's done and all you have to do is pull it out and heat it up or cook a few things. And the really great thing is to make crock pot meals. And that way when I get home, I work nights, when I get home in the morning, I throw everything in the crock pot. And then when my husband comes in after taking the kids to practice, then when they get home, everything is just done. And all that is prepared for them and it's easy. And I actually, if you look in the description below this video, there is a link that you can download a free meal planner that has a place for you to put what's in your pantry and your freezer, make your weekly meal plan and your grocery list right there. 100% free. It is a Canva link so you can edit it to fit your needs and your favorite colors and all that good stuff. Okay, and so there are times in life when it's just going to be chaotic. And there are times when we just throw everything to the wind and the meal planning goes out the window, my cleaning schedule goes out the window, nothing seems to make sense. And when we finally get a chance to slow down and come up for air, our house looks like a tornado has gone through it, the laundry's not done, the fridge is empty, and we are all exhausted. But that's okay because this is life and we are living it, and we can gather ourselves back up because we have systems in order and we can easily get back on track and then just start again. But I refuse to let getting off track completely derail us because these kids are only little for a little while, and one day they're going to be grown and this house is going to be empty and clean and I am going to be bored out of my mind. So for now, whether we have structure or whether we are just winging it, we are just loving this life. All right, guys, thank you for being here once again. It means a lot to me that you take the time to watch my videos and support this channel. If you would like for me to pray for you, please feel free to click on the link in the description below and let me know what's going on. I would love to be able to support you in prayer. I never want you to feel like you are walking through this life alone. And so I am here for you 100%. Also, feel free to check out my blogs, and I also have an Etsy shop that has many more t-shirts, cups, digital products, all of the wonderful things that I love as a mom. So I look forward to hanging out with you guys again. I post a new video every Tuesday, and I will see you next week.